Welcome to the Adoption Lounge. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Katie. We are so happy to have you back. This is actually our 4th episode, which we're really excited about. So, Amanda, what have you been up to in the last week?
So I have been busy at the baseball field. My son plays baseball, my 10-year-old Clark. And I was also at the football field with Mason because he plays football. So that's been my week.
I lose Amanda completely to sports during baseball season and football season. So I really love that we get to do the podcast together. So you have to spend time with me occasionally.
Just all together.
Brings us together.
What have you been up to?
My week was a little bit less fun. My dad has actually been in the ICU for a couple weeks. So my sister and my brother-in-law and I have been kind of trading off, spending time with him. He lives in Denver, like I said. So, it's a little bit difficult being far away and having a family member going through a medical issue, but hopefully he's on the mend.
Got a great update today.
Yes, we did. We got a very good update today. I won't share it because it's personal, but it was a very good, very positive update. Absolutely.
So send positive vibes to Dad in Denver.
Take all the positive vibes. So last week we talked a little bit about open adoption, right? Yeah. Positive adoption language.
Yes. And today, this podcast, we have guests.
It is our very first guest.
We are so excited.
Super excited.
Her name is Lindsay, and she is a adoptive parent of Lifelong. She adopted with us her son, Mack, and she is also an adoptive parent coordinator at our sister company.
Yes, she'll be working at Angel to work with prospective adoptive parents. We're so excited to have her. I think having someone for our families who have already gone through the process, and not just the process, but the process with a company like ours so they understand exactly what they're going through, is just absolutely crucial. So
it's a great perspective to have. She'll be able to really walk them through certain aspects of their journey that nobody can really do unless you've been through it.
Yeah, so let's get to know
Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hey.
Can you introduce yourself a little bit for everybody?
Sure. I'm Lindsay. I'm Mack's mom. Before coming to Lifelong Angel, I still am, registered nurse. So my life is just, helping people and whatever journey they are on. I have a husband, Josh. So it's Josh, Mack, and me. And I'm so excited to be here. And Katie, I am praying for your father. I didn't know that you were going through that. So,
thank you so much. You were so sweet.
Yeah.
So we'll start out. We'll ask you, what led you and Josh to choose adoption in the first place? What led you on that journey?
Right. So adoption has always been very close to us. I have some adopted family members, and so does Josh. And after going through some fertility treatments, we decided that, should we adopt, which was always on the back burner, or go through some more treatments. We ultimately decided adoption. There's so many babies out there that need loving homes, and we knew that we could provide that. So we did some research, found Lifelong online, really liked their company.
How did choosing a company is so important. So after realizing that adoption was going to be the route that you took for growing your family, how did you choose Lifelong? What separated Lifelong from maybe some other companies that you had looked into initially?
Right. So I grew up Lutheran, and at the time, Lifelong was affiliated with the Lutheran Church or Lutheran Family Services. So we really did like that. We liked how your business plan went. It seemed very open to everybody in the world, which we really liked. And then when we did our application, Lifelong was very quick to respond, and we appreciated that because, once you hop on that journey, it's a whirlwind. So we wanted to know that Lifelong or whatever company we went through was going to be there when we needed them, walk us through it, because we had no idea. Although we have adoptive family members, we had no idea how this was going to work, right?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's experience is so different. And so even though I'm sure they wanted to be helpful and share their own experiences with you, it probably didn't tell you
Yeah.
whole lot about what to expect going in.
Right, and they were children when they were adopted. So yeah, we just liked what we saw, reached out, and then spoke with um Mark on a video chat, and we knew from that instant that we felt comfortable with Lifelong and proceeding with them.
Awesome. Can I ask, how many expectant moms did you talk to during your journey?
We spoke to 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One of them, she was so sweet in California. We hit it off right away, got along. We were very similar, talked back and forth for a while, and she ultimately decided to parent. So we were very happy for her. Um, weren't upset at all. Our social worker had said, from her experience, it's the 3rd or 4th mother that you speak with. So we had that in the back of our mind, but we were happy for that birth mom. And then we had another talking that didn't last very long. And then we had our 3rd one where we did get to the connection phase.
And connection means you've actually moved forward with hiring representation services like an attorney or social worker.
Yes.
Yes. That birth mother was a little bit harder to talk to. Every birth mom, the conversations were so different. And it was just, you're meeting them in their stage of that life. Some people are very comfortable, some are not. That birth mom, we did move forward to the connection phase, but communication was very different than what we were used to.
Did it make you nervous about moving to the connection phase because the communication was so different?
It did, honestly. And at the time, she was very honest. She was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I do want to move to the connection phase. So we were still very hopeful, but it did make us a little nervous because I would reach out and get like very short answers, or it would take her a very long time to respond. So that was always in the back of our mind. And it was nervous coming from the other birth moms who were just like, bam, bam, bam.
It's nice that you bring up the fact that other communication was different.
Yeah.
Up to this point, just because there was more communication didn't necessarily mean that it went further or was successful. It just means that it's different. And that's not always a true tale to the success of that opportunity. So I love that you went with the flow and we're still open even though communication was different.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to, at least Josh and I, we were trying to put ourselves in that birth mother's shoes. Adoption is probably not anything she ever thought she was going to do. It's the hardest thing she'll ever do. We were very compassionate and had a lot of empathy for her. So yeah, we just tried to go with her flow and on her timeline, not pressure her or overwhelm her in an already overwhelming situation. So we were very patient with her, but it was very different than our previous moms. So
And what was it like what was going through yours and Josh's mind when you were getting these calls? Was it different each time? Was the very first one a little bit more nerve-wracking?
Exciting, or was it anxiety when you get a call with a new opportunity?
Always excited. I was working with Jamie and then Sarah, and I had their numbers saved in my phone, and they had separate ringtones because I was constantly like, is that them? Is that them? Is that them? And then when it would be one of them, I would be like, and then when they'd be like, we have an opportunity, they probably thought I was a spaz because I would just be so excited every time. You want to be chosen. You make this profile, you are so vulnerable, you put yourself out there, and when you're not getting chosen, you're like, oh God, is it because they don't like the same music as me? Did they see a picture of Josh and it reminds them of an ex-boyfriend? So they're like, so many things go through your mind. So when you are picked, it is such a blessing, that they picked you and they possibly trust you with their child, but also to get to know another birth mom and kind of go along that journey with them. It was really sweet, and we were always excited for new opportunities.
Oh,
well, Lindsay, tell us about your connection with Mack's birth mom. How did that go?
Sure, yeah. So, backtracking to the 3rd birth mom,
Yes.
her due date came and went. We were going through some family issues within my family, some medical issues. So it wasn't even on my mind at the time. And then it was like a week later, and I was like, oh my gosh, like her due date. Haven't heard anything. And then she did reach out to us and say, I had the baby last week. Still don't know what I'm going to do. Here's some pictures.
Oh.
We were upset, but we understood, it's probably more heightened in my emotions because of what we were going through within my family.
Yeah.
So we reached out to Lifelong and let them know, like, we heard from her, baby's born. After speaking with our adoptive parent coordinator, we ultimately decided, we're going to take a step back. She's had the baby for a week. She was already wavering. In my heart, I knew she was going to decide to parent. So we wanted to get our name back out there. And just a couple days later, our birth mom reached out and said she wanted to talk to us. So we were like, wow, that was a fast turnaround. I'm super excited. We called that night and got voicemail, but she called right back, and we didn't know she called my husband's phone. And y'all, this is so crazy. He always answers the phone like your county sheriff's office if it's like a right, because he's like, it's a scammer. So he did that, and she was like, hello. And he was like, oh my gosh, Sabrina, I'm so sorry. And then she like got the biggest laugh out of it. Thank God. I was like, you could have scared her away.
So
But, like,
Sabrina has a great sense of humor.
she does, yes.
That's hilarious.
She was the sweetest. We talked for hours. And then from there on, we talked every day. Birth dad was on the phone and he would listen in. He wasn't as chatty, but we loved them from the get-go. And I say she loves us too because she told us that.
Oh.
Yeah, so like we chatted for, I guess, only 2 weeks, and she went into labor early. So she called me one day and said, I'm in labor. We're on our way to the hospital. I was like, no, you're not.
Surprise.
Braxton Hicks. And then she like hollered out on the phone, and I was like, oh my kid, okay, we are coming. So she
How
like
did that feel?
Yeah, it's go time.
How did that feel getting that call?
Like I'm shaking thinking about it. It was sick, right? Because you're like, okay, she's due in June. It's May 1st. Like,
Yeah.
we had planned that weekend to like clean out our guest room, get it ready for baby, start making a nursery. And then I was like, we have nothing done.
But the baby's coming.
At work, and I was like, get home now. We gotta go. So I'm like throwing things in a bag, things that weren't appropriate to like sweatpants and dress shirts.
You get there and you're going through your suitcase and you're like, well, I don't know if I was of what I was thinking when I was packing.
And Sabrina was in a different state, so you're having to travel a different state when your baby's being born, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Did you guys fly or did you drive?
We drove. It was about, I can't exactly remember, like an 8 to 10 hour drive.
Okay.
And talking about it, I was like, by the time I find tickets for an airplane, and get to
coordinate all that.
Security, do all the things, fly, land, we could have driven. And my husband quit. So we just drove straight through. It gave a lot of time to like woosah, pick out some names. We had some already, but we wanted to meet Mack before because you don't want to like pick a name like Brenda and then you meet them and they're
sorry, Brenda's.
Like, no offense to Brenda's out there.
Like each kid's name like makes them. So we wanted to meet.
Sure.
Yeah, you want to see their little face.
Yeah, so it was a whirlwind and it was exciting. There were a lot of different emotions. We were terrified, because expectant moms can decide to parent and we would be okay with that, but like we had not gotten this far before, so we were just like, we're so excited, we're terrified, we're happy, we're sad. Like we were all over the place. So
Sure, I'm sure all those emotions come up. And what do you think helped kind of get you through that? Was it I know you said the drive was nice because you were able to kind of decompress from the excitement of getting the call.
Right. The drive was nice. It was like a good, like calming once we got to the hospital, it was probably 11 p.m. So there's no social workers on.
Right.
Hospital was aware that we were coming, but night times at hospitals, you enter through the emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know anything. There's no social worker there. So they were like, we can't take you up there. So eventually we got up to labor and delivery. We were able to meet Sabrina and Hector. Mac was in the NICU, so we couldn't meet him until the next day when social workers got there and they had all the paperwork. So that was a little like, you just want to see your baby.
Yeah,
We
especially
had to
after a
wait till
10-hour
the next
drive.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was nice. We got to spend some time with the birth parents and
Yeah.
talk to them and meet them, and that was nice. And then, the next day, social workers got there and they're like, "Are you ready to go?" And we're like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh yeah, tell us about meeting Mac for the first
Oh my
time.
gosh, guys, it was the best thing in the world. I don't know if any other adoptive parents have had these feelings, but like through the whole thing, you're like, what if you meet the baby and there's not a connection? What if they
Sure.
know in their mind that you're not their mom and they don't connect to you? Like all these crazy
Mm-hmm.
things go through your mind.
I think it's like a little bit of imposter syndrome, like creeping in.
Right. Yeah. So he was in the NICU, like I said. We walked in, he was in an incubator, hooked up to all the things on oxygen. And Josh and I walked in, and it was like insta tears. We knew he was our baby.
Oh,
We loved him more than anything in the world. We had the most amazing nurses there
Oh,
that were
that's awesome.
so supportive. We had just met them. We spent a month and a half in the NICU. Josh came back and forth from home to there, but I
Mm-hmm.
stayed the time. The NICU nurses became our family.
I did that with my son as well, so I totally understand how that
I
goes. You
yeah,
get into your routine, and it
yeah,
sounds weird if you've never done it before, but you get very comfortable with this whole NICU family.
yeah, yeah. We actually still talk to one of our nurses. We call her Aunt Patty because she just
Oh, I love that. Me
loved
too.
so much. So yeah, but meeting him for the first time, I mean, it's like you instantly know that the entire journey, the ups and downs, everything you went through was for a reason because God was making Mac. Mac wasn't ready yet.
oh,
He
yeah.
was made for us. And, like all the things go away. And then you just
Oh,
to, mom. And so you're like, okay, now we're in mom mode and we need to advocate for this child, and it's just the best feeling. And I hope that all hopeful adoptive parents know that the journey is rough, the ups and downs are rough, but there is a baby out there for you, and maybe God has just not made him yet.
I
And
love that. I tell families a lot, but I'm always worried about it sounding too reductive, but I tell families a lot like maybe your baby's just not ready yet because I feel that way about my own adoptive parents that those are the people I was meant to be with.
right. Yeah.
So I'm like when it's time, it'll be time.
Well, isn't it amazing, Lindsay, how you meet this little human? And doesn't matter
Any
how
mom.
any mom.
Any
I
parent,
remember
any
meeting
dad.
my daughter and my sons for the first time, and you're like, how is it possible that I love this human so
Yeah.
much and I've known them for 15 seconds? Like, it's like really true love.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my husband, but like, come
I-
on. It's like
no,
true, right? Josh who? Right? It's all about Mac now.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, it's amazing. And it just like love that you love your husband, you love your mom, you love your siblings. This
Right.
is a different type of love that just is
Mhm.
overwhelming. Like, even now, I'll look at Mac when he's doing something and I like tear up because I'm like, how can I love somebody this much? Like, I couldn't love you anymore or I'm gonna burst.
Well, I'm sure you probably had almost like a newfound respect and care and admiration for the birth mom because she was the
Yes.
one that blessed you guys with
Yes.
this gift. How was it meeting her? I know you guys had talked and it sounds like
Yeah.
communication went well, but how was it getting to meet her and Hector for the first time?
Kind of nice that you got to meet them first and spend a little time with them, like you mentioned
Yeah.
before meeting Mac.
Yeah. It was great. We had shared social media profiles, so I knew what she looked like. I
Okay.
saw her with her children. I got to see like a glimpse into her life, although, you can't depend on social media. But meeting her in person was really, really exciting. She is the sweetest. She's so sweet. And she truly, truly just wanted Mac to have an amazing life. And that was something at the time that she just couldn't provide, although she wanted to. And we are so grateful for her for giving us this gift. But yeah, they were so great. I mean, remember, it was midnight by the time we met them, so they were exhausted. Um,
Exhausted.
yeah, and she was hungry, and so she was just kind of like all over the place, which I would be too. But
Right.
she was just so sweet. She was like advocating for us to get into the NICU that night to see Mac, but it wasn't allowed.
Aw.
She was like, whatever we need to do to get them up there to see the baby. I mean, she was just so sweet, and I'm thankful that we got to meet her.
He and Hector picked a great family. Mac is
Thank
just
you.
extremely lucky to have so many people that love him too.
Yeah.
Oh,
What were some of the challenges? So obviously going through adoption, it's beautiful, it's great. There's ups, but there's also downs.
yes.
And what were some of your challenges that you needed to overcome and how did you do that throughout the adoption process?
Okay, so I'm a control freak.
So am I.
I always say that's the hardest personality trait to go into this with if you like to control everything.
I am like personality type A. I need to be in control of things. Very organized, and not being in control of anything in this journey was very hard for me.
Yeah.
Um, you know, like I said, we were trying to be graceful and put ourselves in the birth mom's shoes. So it was a little hard, because I'm like, I text her, she's not texting back. Should I call her? Should I email her? Like, what do I do? How long do I wait before I reach out to Lifelong? Which I'm sure a lot of adoptive parents do feel that way.
Yes, I
There's a
think
lot of
communication is one of the
control.
most difficult parts of the journey, actually, that people don't realize going into it, that communication with the expectant mom is hard because you want to read into everything and you shouldn't really read into anything and you don't know what to do. And
Yeah, and then texting, you read a text the way you're feeling in that moment.
yes.
And I'm terrible about this. My husband will text me and I'll be like, why are you so mad? And he's like, Lindsay, it literally says I'm going to the grocery store. Like, so, trying to decipher text messages that she's sending,
Yeah, looking for
maybe
meaning.
they're short, maybe she's at work and she just doesn't have time to chat. So I think the lack of control, the communication, sometimes it was really easy, sometimes it was really hard. Financially, we were okay, but I know like adoption is expensive. Like I said, I was a registered nurse and travel nursing was really big at the time. So I did like 2 travel nurse assignments and paid for our entire adoption, which was really nice. So I didn't have
That's
to take,
awesome.
but I'm thankful for that. So that wasn't a struggle, and then just waiting. Like I said, going through the ups and downs of your own emotions, like maybe I should change my profile. It's being presented. No one likes us. Is it the picture? Like, is it the dog? Should we move to a house? Like, just random little things that your mind just takes you off on these tangents and journeys, and you're like, just settle down. It's okay.
Well,
So
and you
remember,
talked about the wait. How long was your wait from the time that you started to the time that you had Mac?
yeah, so we went live in February 2022, and we got Mac May 1st, 2023. So about 15 months,
Oh,
which
yeah,
I
right
didn't
within
think
the
was very long. I've heard longer, so
Yeah.
we're thankful for that. Yeah.
And how did you get through the wait? I mean, I know it's hard. Was there some things that you did like for all the adoptive parents out there that are listening that may be going through what you're going through, what were some things that you did, or what are some things that you wish you might have done differently? Could
Yeah,
you go back or if you did adoption again?
right. I would totally do adoption again. For our weight, my mother was diagnosed with cancer about a year prior to us going
Mhm.
live. And so between my sister and I, we were her main caretakers at that time.
Mhm.
So I feel like, and I pray no one else has the situation, but like that was a good distraction, a good bad distraction. Like
Right.
Mhm.
I was working, and then on my days off, I was taking her back and forth to her appointments, making sure she was cared for at home, helping. She had moved in with my sister, so I would go over there and help tidy up, just keeping my mind busy and occupied. Um, I would look at our profile, and then back then they still do send the numbers of how many times you've been
Oh,
presented.
yeah.
So I would look at that and be like, okay, like we're
It's
getting
working.
presented. But mostly I didn't have time to like sit and ponder the weight like some would, I think. So
Yeah.
it was a blessing in disguise, I guess, you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
remaining busy and trying not to stress.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was your experience like when it was time to hire services? I know,
Mhm.
I think you worked with one of our Quad A attorneys, right, for Max adoption?
Did. Yes, we did. So, we were in that connection phase with our third birth mom, hired attorneys for that.
Mhm.
That didn't work out, and we got all of that money back. So that was nice.
Oh, that
Um,
is nice. A lot of
mhm.
attorneys do have adoption reimbursement
Yeah.
plans sometimes in that event, so it's a good thing
Yeah.
to ask.
Yeah, that was really nice because we thought that was just going to be money gone. So it was nice
Mhm.
to get
Mhm.
that back. And then, Mac came so quickly, we hadn't like moved to the connection phase.
Yeah.
We got to Pennsylvania and hired one of the Quad A lawyers down in South Carolina, which is where we live.
Mhm.
They were so great. I would recommend them to anybody down there. And then I recommend hiring a Quad A lawyer because they are the professionals in adoption. Like they are the experts. We had
Yeah.
some family friends that are lawyers and they were like, just call me. We'll do it for free. And I was like, well, do you know anything about adoption? You're like a business adopt like lawyer. And they're like, no, but I'll look it up. At the end of the day, really, really want somebody that's expert in adoption.
Mhm.
So if there are any hiccups, we know that they'll be covered. And our attorney was on top of everything. We never had to like wait for a response. They were very reachable. He also had like I don't know, like a legal aid. I don't know her title, but I had her phone number. She reached out often. She always wanted updates on Mac and wanted pictures. They were just so amazing. So I
That's
do
awesome.
like
Well, that's
going with
great because
Quad
if they're
A.
responsive to you, they're going to be responsive to the expectant mom. And we've had
Right.
families
Absolutely.
that have went off and kind of hired cheaper,
Friends of the family.
more financially friendly, maybe friends of the family, and it has kind of ruined an opportunity. We've seen opportunities
Yes.
ruined. So it's
Yeah.
great that you followed the lead of the company and
Yeah.
Mm.
hired the Quad A attorney. And I'm
Yeah,
glad that
worth
that all
every
went.
penny. Like I strongly advise that you pick a lawyer off of the list that the company recommends.
You heard it here first. Lindsay said it.
We
Lindsay
had
said it.
some hiccups, so our finalization took almost a year.
Well,
So and that has nothing to do with the lawyers. That was all like birth parent related and not
right.
filling out paperwork they needed to. So
Yeah.
never did I worry because our attorney was so involved. He went above and beyond. I don't think like your average banking lawyer would know what to do. Would have fallen through the cracks.
Well, I always say you wouldn't want to hire a brain surgeon to do heart surgery. You need someone that specializes in the thing they're doing.
Absolutely. That's a really good point.
Quad A,
So,
Quad A.
Yes.
And say it again, Lindsay, for the
You can
people in the
actually look
back.
up Quad A attorneys on adoptionart.org. You can search by state.
Lindsay has a little she had a little
Quad A
dance there.
dance.
Quad A. That's gonna be the dance we always do now for
Also
Quad A.
talk
Really
about
will though.
It will. It's
Wait, so
wait for it on TikTok.
how's it going? Are you still in like an open adoption situation with Sabrina? Did you have a plan for communication after placement?
Yeah, so during the talking phase, we had talked and she wanted to have like a semi-open adoption. We had talked about when he's little, just doing yearly updates or bi-yearly updates, like send her some pictures and an update here or there. And when and if Mac wanted to meet her whenever he wanted that, we would talk about it and set that up.
Yeah.
But it's up to him, and she agreed, like, if he doesn't want to meet me, that's fine. If he does, that's fine. But since adopting, we have kind of not gone to like a closed adoption legally, but we've kind of faded out, which a lot of the social workers say, birth moms are kind of really there in the beginning and kind of fizzle out. So we haven't talked since probably the beginning of the year, but I am planning, to make her like a picture book and write her up a little, newsletter on did throughout the year and send that around Christmas. And
Yeah.
she has my number. I have hers. I text her recently. She hasn't responded, so I'm not going to like blow her phone up. I'm trying to respect boundaries, and I'm here if she needs me and vice versa.
Yeah, I think it is nice. And even if she doesn't respond when you send that update, it doesn't mean that she doesn't appreciate it. So it's great that you're still willing to do that. Just follow through on your part. That's all you can do, right? You can only just follow through on your part. And when she's ready, because I'm sure it's more emotional than she thought. It's hard.
Yeah. And from Mack's perspective, I think it's, obviously I can't speak on his behalf, but I think it's really lovely to see that effort has been made. It's a very respectful thing to do to continue to hold up your end of the bargain. And
you said in the last podcast that you loved that your mom would, even though there wasn't a relationship, that she would always have been willing to do that. So Mack will see
my
that.
birth mom was very engaged. She would send stuff back and be reciprocal, but my sister's birth mom was not. And that's a personality thing or moving on in your life thing. I mean, whatever the reason, I just think it's nice that my parents always did exactly what they said they were going to do. I would be disappointed to know they didn't.
Yeah. So go, Lindsay.
So you're doing great. So tell us, Lindsay, why did you decide to join our team? Why do you want to be an adoptive parent coordinator?
Out of the adoption process with the birth moms and all of that, my experience with Lifelong was amazing. Josh and I remember being like doing the lawyer stuff and telling Josh, maybe I should become an adoption lawyer. This is so fun. Maybe I should call them and see. I emailed one day and I was like, I'm over here. Would love to work with you guys. Didn't think I knew I would get a response because you guys are so amazing, but I figured you'd be like, no, we're good. But I got like, yeah, we'd love to have you on the team. I just think that being in any aspect of an adoption journey is amazing. And to come back to the company or sister company that I worked with, I already know so many of you. And then to help these adoptive parents through their journey is such a blessing. I've only been here a little while and I have already I love it so much. The families, helping guide them through this journey, through their ups, through their downs. I mean, what could be better than that? Being a parent myself, I understand what they're going through. And if I can be like, I went through the same thing, stay faithful, don't give up. It's going to happen. It's just not your time yet. And that's just not your baby. So I'm just really excited to work with them.
We are so thrilled to have you. You'll be joining our Angel team. So we're really excited to get to work with my families.
Well, and I think families are going to be so excited. We do have other adoptive parents on staff too. And it's been going so well. I think all of our team brings such a unique aspect to every part of the journey. And you're just, I mean, you're already part of the lifelong family, and now you're in the lifelong family in so many ways. So we're
Yeah.
so
Oh,
happy to
yeah.
have you.
Thank you. And you guys have been so sweet. Everybody here
Oh,
is so nice. They just want to help you in their journey,
Aw.
help you in your journey. Not sure what I just said. I mean, if you could just doing your research on these adoption agencies like Lifelong, Angel, they will not steer you wrong. They are here
Aw.
to help you and get you the best baby ever. And I am just so excited to have been an adoptive parent and now an adoptive parent coordinator. Like, have fun.
well, of course. And
So sweet.
what are some goals that you have? What are you really hoping to be able to provide to some of these families that you're going to be working
Our
with?
hopeful adoptive parents.
Yeah. I don't have any like set goals in my mind, but I think that if I, as the coordinator, can just be there for you when you need an ear or a shoulder, help you through your journey to make it a more peaceful, positive journey, just help your heart. Adoption is hard on both sides, on the expectant mother side and the adoptive parent side. And I want to be able to help guide hopeful parents, let them know, like, you're not alone. You are in the midst of a large population of people that want to adopt, and you have those resources, being able to provide them with those resources, listen to their fears, help walk them through it. I'm just excited. I don't know.
We're excited. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank
Lindsay.
you for having me.
Yeah, we really loved getting to talk with you, and I can't wait for you to get to start to talk to some families. How exciting!
Excited.
Some of your families will probably see this podcast before you even talk with them. So you're going
Yes.
to feel like a celebrity when they're like, I saw you on the podcast.
Like,
So
who's that
strange.
Sarah on the podcast they had? She's
Well, yes, thank you so much. You're our first guest, and I could not be more happy that it was you.
Yeah.
And
Perfect first
glad
guest.
to
thank you
be
so much
here.
for carving time out to speak with
Yes.
us.
Yes, and thank you. And I look forward to speaking with all you adoptive parents.
Yay. All right. Bye, Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye. Yes.
Aw, that was so fun. I know. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have more on. I know one of our other adoptive parent coordinators, Nicole, is excited about coming on. Her sister is a birth mom. I don't know
Yeah.
when we're going to get them, but we're hoping to get both of them, which would be awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff in the works, but one thing is our next podcast. We are going to have another special guest for you guys, and we are so excited.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. You'll have to tune in.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have today, right?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.